All right, students, welcome back again. I hope everybody is in his and her good health and are trying to protect themselves from this pandemic COVID 19. So, as I promised, that I shall be putting one video in which whole course will be summarized, and that may give you a little bit of confidence. And if you look back, maybe something will be and become fresh in your mind, and you will try to appreciate what all you have learned. And maybe once you sum it up, it becomes more easy to apply these things in your coming courses and as well as for your field works. So we started off learning C++, and the first chapter was actually an overview of computers and programming languages. So in that, we discussed that what a computer machine is, and the heart of that computer machine came out to be a unit which is known as CPU, Central Processing Unit. With that, we have a main memory, and everything which is executed is loaded on that main memory. But the question becomes more obvious that computers cannot have anything written except zeros and one on these memories. So the state of those memory cells can either be zero or one. So it is very difficult to make computer understand and learn that language, because we need thousands of instructions to be passed to computers to perform a very simple task even. So the solution was to make some interpreter or something which can translate normal understandable human language to the computers. So the concept of compilers and interpreters came in, and a language at the very early stages was developed, and name of that language was assembly language. So assembly language used to take the instructions in some words which were familiar to human beings, and then it used to translate or convert into zeros and one, generally known as machine language or machine code. And as the time progressed, more and more languages which are more closer to human understandings were developed, and different features, different functionalities were encapsulated in those languages. And finally, eh, we have a long list of nowadays languages in which we can program. But C++ was one of the languages which actually inherits, or which actually is an advanced version of C language, or it belongs to C families, and C was one of the languages which was developed in very early stages. And the advantage of C language was that it actually gives access to all the users to the most basic components of hardware. So unlike the languages which are high level, C and C++ are considered to be mid-level languages, and we have more control on all our hardware resources. So uh, I think in the same chapter 1, we demonstrated that how to write and execute a code. So in order to execute any programming language written code, we need at least three things on the computer. So one is your compiler. You cannot compile, or you cannot run, or you cannot make your program to work without existence of any compiler. And compiler, and you write the programs into some sort of editors like word processing, processor, notepad, etc. So these compiler plus these editors, they actually define what kind of environment you have. So we need to have an environment to make our program to work. In addition, we should have the language understanding, what we have to write on that. And the third thing is, not everything it is possible that we should be writing from the scratch. We actually need a lot bunch of code already written by our predecessors, or the designer of the software, and those are available in form of libraries. So the environment, the language, and the standard libraries attached, and they make our program to basically perform anything which we ask from this. So once these things are available, and we discussed that there are various steps involved to write the program. So those were basically, first we have to write the instructions on some editor. So it was edited, and there we also include some already written codes in form of preprocessor directives. So they were pre-processing. The third step was then, once the preprocessed area and written area is combined, then we have to compile that. So after compilation, then we are supposed to link that with all available or required resources to run that program. So once it is linked, every resource required for that program is linked, then we need a loader. And what loader does, that it takes our program, because this linking, compilation, whatsoever they give output, it is stored into computers storage, or hard disk. So once everything is done, so we need to put this program back into our main memory, so that is executed. So it is loader which does this work. And finally, when the program is loaded onto main memory, we run it. So these were 6 steps: edit, preprocess, compile, link, load, and finally the execute. And what we do, why we start writing the program, actually, this question is asked by many students, that why you want to write. Of course, the answer is very simple, that we want some solution to any problem. So that particular problem which we face in real world, maybe mostly these are mathematical type, but otherwise also, we actually are required to develop some algorithm, so that we can transform our real world problem into some pseudocode through some logic. It has to be converted, okay, and then pseudocode has to be written in proper syntax of that particular language, and the syntax of C++ language in our particular case. So once we have uh, exercised few algorithms, normal life working processing algorithms, and then actually we also practiced to write very simple program, compile it, and execute it. So after this understanding, we came to the chapter number 2. And chapter number 2 was probably basic elements of the C++. So in that, we started defining. And of course, the first thing while learning any language after understanding the all environmental and already given resources to write a program. And when we start off writing our first program, the first thing which everyone should understand, that a program is basically a collection of functions. It performs some function in normal English word like functions, but the elements of functions in a computer program, that must also be understood. And we were very familiar from the first program, a function, the name of that function was main. So we defined a function in a way which is acceptable for C++. So it starts with some return type followed by its name. Then in the brackets, we have some list of parameters, formal parameters going into that. So function actually we discussed lately in chapter, I think, 6 also. So but an initial to start it, initially we started off understanding how the main function is written. So main is the function which is the most required. Without that our program will not run. It provides an entry point. So what was that structure of that function, we understood that. And beside that, uh, since we were required to input data through keyboard and see the output on our screens, so we familiarized ourselves with the IOStream library, in which we have special two objects to take input from standard keyboard device and give our output to the screen or monitor. So CN and Cout was defined, and how the preprocessor uh, directive is included. That was just hashtag include and then IOStream. And we familiarized ourselves with CN and Cout object. Along with that, we had uh, probably the two angular brackets to sign of greater than or to sign of less than. So those were used. And after that, we started writing program to display some messages. Okay, so it was with cin, and then the operator, extraction operator, and then in the quotation marks we write some message. And when we compile our program, in command window appears on the computer, and that message was displayed. And then we enhanced the capability of that program. We started taking input from the keyboard, and then we had cin and uh, insertion operators. And uh, we were required to put those inputs and save it in some variables, and that variables was used in our output. So if, so for example, somebody just gave input n- as name, so that name was displayed again back along with the a computer generated message, okay, welcome John, like that. So that was chapter 2. So mainly we were concerned on taking input and writing output to screen and understanding the basic elements. But the chapter 3 actually that discussed this in more details. So while mm, we were trying to master ourselves in writing to the screen and reading and taking input, so we were required to understand all concepts behind the data types. So data types were it is basically a most fundamental elements of any every computer language has their own set of data types. Okay, so the primitive data types which are inbuilt and which are core structure of any program, we started off with that, and we familiarized ourselves with integer kind of data types: float, character, char, and strings. Strings were something different, but those simple one included char, integer, long, and there were signed and unsigned versions of for each of them. And what mainly the difference was how much memory is required for to hold uh, each and every individual data type. So data type we had uh, an understanding in chapter number 2, a little understanding, because this goes on and on. And the last data type which we studied in the last class was still a data type. A class is a data type. Okay, so we have in data types some values and some operations which we can perform on that. So the simple or primitive data types, which were integer, char, and long. So Boolean, very important. One of them was the Boolean. So these were simple, primitive. We had few function already defined, and if we recall the function, all arithmetic basic function, plus, minus, division, and multiplication, we had very simple operators just like in our calculators. We have star for multiplication, plus sign we have on our keyboard. So those four simple operation, plus modulus, which can we can also perform on integer type. So the simple type was basically the main target of that chapter, that we should be able to take input and of simple data types and perform some function on that. So once we just become easy in handling those variables, so chapter 3 we again discussed the inputs and outputs in little bit more details. In that we also try to format our outputs using different manipulators. So in order to include the manipulators to perform in our program, and the second library which we familiarized ourselves in addition to IO stream, the second library was IO manip. So IOMANIP, manipulator, MANIP, I think, IO manip. So from that manipulators, we uh, become very comfortable in writing any format of our output code. And by this time we were good in understanding the data types, simple data types. We become familiar with the writing it in a particular desired format using manipulators like set w, set precision, fixed, show points. You remember all that? And in addition to these, the cin and cout, which were actually the stream objects. So we also try to understand how to control the streams which is coming in to our program, or which we are trying to give output. So the stream formatting and those four functions, which were, I think, the first functions you were apart from main, you became familiar with: ignore, peek, and put back. So those were something uh, we were trying to do or manipulate our streams. Okay, so streams of character, and then putting those into different data types. C in, C out. So by the end of chapter 3, we were quite clear about these things. So the chapter 4 and 5, they basically covered almost a main broad topic of control structures. So the control structures, up till chapter 3, we wrote program which used to follow a simple sequence step by step and goes on until the time it reaches at the end of main function and our program used to finish. But with the introduction and with the understanding of control structure, we try to learn how to control the flow of that normal flow and convert it into some desired way, maybe something we don't want to execute if certain conditions are not met. So we actually learned about uh, if, else if, and else structures, which were actually for the selection of particular area to be executed under some given conditions. So conditions, for in order to check what kind of conditions, we had logical expressions, logical operators, we had relational operators, and with comparing with some predefined conditions, we can execute a statement or a block of statement. So we have simple these if, else if, and else structure, and another structure for the selection was switch and case. So if we have some multiple options available to perform, so switch and case structure was also there to help us. And if we pass some variable to switch statement and then we define case for each value of that variable separately, so we could go in any direction in our program. So chapter 4th and 5th were like this. Then we were on chapter 6th. I think chapter 6th was about function. Let me see that. So I have the book. So the title of chapter 6 was user defined functions. So in user defined functions, once we were already clear about the functions, the primitive data types, the libraries, and yes, before discussing the functions, we also introduced by that time another important library about the strings. So from a simple primitive data type which were of char type, char, whole byte of memory, uh, we were interested writing the complete messages, sentences, names as strings. Okay, so in order to perform something on the strings, understand, make our program understandable with the word strings, we need to uh, inject or incorporate the third important library, which was string. So hash, include, angular bracket, start, string, and angular bracket close. So once we include this preprocessor directive in our program, so now we can do manipulation with the strings. Okay, so after understanding strings, primitive data types, integers, uh, and how to format them, boolean type. So now this was the time that we should have tried to write our own functions. And during the assignments up till chapter 5, I think we had few problems in which we were asked to either identify some already written functions. We were familiar with already written functions like this peek and put back, get character, get line. So we were familiar with that also. So in chapter 6, by that time we were ready to write our own functions, and we familiarized ourselves how the syntax of a functions looks like, what are the prerequisites to use that function in our program. Of course, that function should be defined before using that. Okay, so we wrote functions, we understood what do we mean by the name of the function, what is the return type, what is the formal parameters, and how to pass values to those formal parameters, and ultimately uh, how we use those formal parameters. When we pass the value, those become arguments, and how we use those arguments in manipulating or finding out some results, and either displaying it directly or performing some function for some task directly, or returning some value. So the limitation of returning one value by one function, that also made us to think that we should be able, that if we call some function and there is more than two three values which we need to get out of this. So the concept of passing the variables of formal parameters like a value or like a reference. So if you pass as a reference, so the memory is allocated somewhere else, especially from where it is being called. So those area is allocated, and when we pass something and that function do something, so the that happens actually with that particular uh, passed on variable. Okay, so after understanding that, we did write a couple of functions. We wrote for finding the distances between 2 points, we wrote functions to find the average. We did so many things. And then in chapter 7, and it was user defined simple data type, namespace, and a string type. So again, we discussed the string in detail, and in addition to normally written string type, we actually mm, wrote some of our own data types. And the simplest example which was there was using enumeration types, and we made our own enumeration types. And uh, so on one side, we were trying to master on writing functions, because it was part of almost every chapter. On second side, the data types. So the data types, we were started off with the simplest one, then we familiarized ourselves with the enumeration, where a set of similar kind of things can be placed in an indexed format, and like uh, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, instead of writing it separately 7 times, we could have made one enumeration of day, and then access each day by passing an index of enumeration day type. So with understanding how to write our own data types, how to write our own function, we started feeling that now our programs should be capable of uh, making variables of same kind and going through the loops and performing same kind of functions in 3 4 lines of code, using our control structure or repetition kind of yeah. When we discuss chapter 5, I think we just completely overlook now. about the repetition control structures. So we had three repetition control structure. It was while loop, it was for loop, and it was do while loop. So those loops are extremely useful in performing the tasks which are of repetitive in nature. So now we were good in understanding how to control the flow, how to write our own function, how to write our own data types. So the concept of array was introduced. So we can make array of any data type, and then we were told how to perform different operation on those arrays. Okay, the string was an array of characters, nothing else. And we once we include the string library in our program, so we basically also import so many functionality with that uh, string. Similarly, if we want to do something with our integer type of arrays or with our different arrays, we need to write different operations and make our own data types. So this was arrays and strings chapter 7 and chapter 8. And then in chapter 9 we defined struct, and finally the classes. So I think if you understood the basic data structures uh, and then the writing of functions, generally how to control that, logical operators and relational operators, and then understanding struct and classes was nothing, because struct and classes you can consider them to be of one independent kind of program where whole object can simulate it. So a set of different data types, variables, and functions. First, we learned something in form of struct, and then we learned something in form of class, and we also learned how to have separation of concern. Abstract data types should be we should not mix the implementation with the design detail. And here onward, actually this is a startup point of object oriented programming. So frankly speaking, we covered a lot in this course. We covered a lot. If you go through that, if you go through the presentations of that, uh, I am much confident that you have the good foundation, good starting point to learn programming languages or to apply this knowledge in solving engineering problems. So if the time permitted, I think we could have learned some application also. But if you remember, I think it was in the third week when we solved a very complicated heat transfer engineering problem, and it was very simple to solve it on the computer. Of course, uh, we were only trying to learn the computer programming part of solving that problem. So whole physics, whole mechanics involved in that uh, problem was not our domain. But as you will be studying more advanced subjects, so maybe you will start feeling that now we can use this C++ to solve our problems. So thank you very much. I think in this course was good. Everyone did good. The result apparently is very good. So I wish you all the best and thank you very much.